Mhm. Yeah, yeah, cool. Yeah, it works. Yeah, cool. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining me today. And my name is Anna Naumova. I'm a senior product manager at Zello. Zello is a push to talk, walkie-talkie mobile application. And now we are working closely with first responders to fight COVID-19 disease. So it's pretty useful on both sides, our consumer side and customers. And now we're going to talk about how to adjust as an immigrant in a global market. I wouldn't tell specifically about PM because before that webinar, I talked to 35 immigrants, mostly Russian, because like most of my friendship circle is Russian people. But anyway, I had Latinos, I had Indians as well. So I gathered people's feedback and try to prepare presentation for you to help you in your future path. Um, about me, a little bit. As I said, I'm from Russia and I moved to the US in 2013. Sorry, it's 3 years ago. In 2006, I launched OK.ru. It's a social network like Russian Facebook, and I was a marketing manager at the time. In 2013, 2016, I was responsible for monetization of .ru via virtual gifts. It's like stickers. And this project brought 50% of company's profit at the time. It was a strategically important project for the company. In 2016, I moved to the US and I joined Fasten, is ride-sharing application Uber and Lyft competitor in the US. It's like Ola, and which we made 25,000 trips a day at our peak time. In 2017, it was a boom of crypto, and I decided to try the crypto industry as well. And I joined a Bitleaf crypto startup, and we raised $25 million using ICO. And in 2018, I got a senior product manager role at Zello and moved from California to Austin. Um, let's talk about immigrants from the like positive side. I'll be talking more about US because I have more experience in the US, and I believe that immigrants are power of tech industry. Let's say 57% of Bay Area's STEAM tech workers are immigrants. STEAM is science, technology, engineer, and math. And 25% of business founders in the US are immigrants. And 50% of billion-dollar startups are founded by immigrants. So let's say Uber was founded by Canadian-born Garrett Camp. SpaceX, Elon Musk from South Africa. WeWork, Adam Newman was born in Israel, and Peter Thiel from Palantir was born in Germany. And there are a bunch of top level Indian managers in the US. Let's say Arvind Krishna, CEO of IBM, Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, Sundar Pichai, CEO of Alphabet, Google. Where the US technology workforce comes from. And if we talk about San Francisco Bay Area, 57% are foreign born, and only 18% of people who works in San Francisco Bay Area was born in California. And if we talk about hub technology innovation hubs, we don't talk about only Silicon Valley. And there are a bunch of big cities, innovation hubs all around the world, like Singapore, London, Tel Aviv, Tokyo, Hong Kong and Bangalore. And country also compete for recruitment. This billboard is in Bay Area, and it's Canadian billboard. Canada invited tech workers. H-1B is a visa workers in the US, and they said that if you have problems with H-1B visa, with work visa in the US, pivot to Canada. That's also pretty interesting. What's the reason for immigration? It's obviously work, education. Someone is looking for a better life for themselves or better future for their kids. Climate as well, curiosity, personal challenges, and repression in your native countries and other minor uh, cases. And why it's important? Because when we when we when we will struggle from difficulties and troubles in new country, you have to move back and understand your core reason, your core motivation, why you immigrated, and it will help you to fight and conquer with all difficulties you'll meet in immigration. Let's say better life for sure, it's a good reason. But talking about curiosity, it's kind of not a strong reason, it's not strong motivation. As well as maybe climate. For sure, if you have some disease or health problems because of climate, yeah, it makes sense. But it's just you want to live in a, I don't know, warmer place. It's not a strong motivator for you to immigrate. So think about it carefully. What problems people made after immigration or before? For sure, it's visa questions and legalization. We won't talk about it today. It's like different topic. New bureaucracy. For sure, you will meet new rules and new procedures in the new country. Let's say in the US, I had to get new SSN, a social security number, new bank account, new credit card, credit score, credit rating, new driver license, new health insurance. I have to understand child education and their rules, and for sure new taxation. And there are a bunch of new stuff you have to learn, and you have to fight after immigration. Language problem is pretty big problem, and we will talk about this later. Missing your friends and relatives for sure. And if you are able to relocate with your significant one or with your family, do it. It will definitely help you to adjust in new country. Work environment and new work processes. We'll talk about this later. Social problems and cultural problems. We'll also talk about this later today. And also routine and habit changes. Let's say if you get used to having specific delivery service or travel in specific place, for sure you have to change these habits. Let's talk about language. I know there are many people from India, and if you guys immigrate to English-speaking countries like the US, UK, or like Australia, you probably won't suffer from this problem because you already can speak English very well in India, in your country. But if you immigrate to Middle East countries or Germany, Latin America, or if you are not from India, let's say I'm from Russia and only 5% of Russian people can speak English. So this problem, based on my survey I made before this webinar, this was the problem number one. People mentioned it every time because I asked them, which difficulties did you encounter when you immigrate? And almost everybody pointed language. And especially if you are a product manager, speaking a good language, it's a must. It's must have to, because communication for product managers is 80% of your time you will spend communicating with stakeholders and other people, and your team has to understand you clearly, and you have to understand people. And I'm not talking about accents. I'm talking about like your speech, your clear conversation. So if you decide to relocate to another country, start learning language as soon as possible. You can hire a tutor, you can watch movies, read books. Being in your native country, you don't need to go out and spend money learning language. You can do it from home. And my fourth advice, call to local support. I did it a lot. I called to American grocery stores, like stores, other organization. I called them and tried to solve my problems, like fake problems, but I had English practice for free. So it's a cool advice. Also, when you immigrate, like after you immigrate, try to leave your comfort zone and reduce communication in your native language. Try to find local friends and community, and it's easy to find immigrants, not just like people who was born in that country and grew up there, like 100% local. It's easier to start with immigrant who moved like approximately at the same time you did. And you can find it on meetups, the website like meetup.com, it's super helpful, or any groups, or hobby. If you like hiking, biking, fishing, like yoga, anything, try to find friends with the same hobbies. The second problem is social, and it's a good advice from my colleague. The first one: before you move, ask your friends to introduce you to other people in your area. It's absolutely super helpful, because you will come to the place when you have already someone and you are not a stranger. If someone introduces you to someone, it means that you have somebody shared friends, and it will help you not to be alone and not to be stranger. So, and I bet you'll find a lot of common friends, shared friends, people you may know in the new area. Also join local and hobby communities on Facebook. On the right side, I posted the screenshot from my Facebook. The group I joined is Lady Geeks in Austin. I live in Austin, Austin Moms, Russian Moms in Austin, and other groups with my interest. At first, when you just move, try to rent apartment close to your native community. I know that it might contradict with my previous slide about language, but you have to find balance. If you move straight to absolutely a known community, it might be more stressful for you. So you have to find a balance, maybe to like first several months live close to your native community and try to isolate yourself pretty smoothly and find people in the local community. Find immigrants. As I said before, it's easier for you to start talking, communicating with people like you, like immigrants who struggled, who has the same problem like you have. Be proactive, explore new opportunities, meet new people, and for sure keep in touch with your relatives and friends from your native country. Cultural differences. It's my favorite topic, and because every culture is different, and before you move, like learn social rules and laws in your country, because something might be rude in one country and polite in other country. So you have to understand that rules, understand sensitive topics race or religion in the US. It's better to avoid that. Gestures in different countries, some gestures mean different things, and learn local holidays, including religious holiday. I highly recommend Culture Map book. I posted a picture on the right side, and we will talk a little bit about some rules from this book later today. And for sure, listen and watch very carefully. Pay attention to how people act and talk, and learn from them. People might look the same but behave differently. Let's talk about some cultural differences was mentioned in this book. But it does like highlight, it's my favorite. I just want to share to make you interested in that book in the future. Communication. I'm from Russia, and you can see that Russia is more high context country. High context means that communication is sophisticated, nuanced, and implicit. And as well as India, we are like pretty like similar high context country. But US is low context. It means that your communication has to be super precise, simple, and clear. And when I moved to the US, I struggled a lot because people didn't understand me. And what I like after reading this book, I realized, oh my God, I'm super complicated. My speech is super natural. And I started speaking like with the children, super straightforward, super explicit and simple. And I improved like how people understand me. Like trust at work. Also, let's look at the right side, relationship-based. India and Russia in the same place, and we both built our relationship based on personal relationship between the people. We can talk, we can share meals, drinks, visit someone's house, and we can spend personal times with colleagues. But if you see the US and Western Europe, they are task-based. In the task-based place, it means that they build their trust through business-related activities. If you complete the task, you are responsible or reliable. So pay attention on that too. And for sure, US people is individualist, is thinking about like their own progress and achievements more than about like someone else. Feedback, direct, indirect feedback. Russia is why Russia looks super rude for many countries, because Russia usually gives direct negative feedback, super straightforward, and provided it like frankly and honestly. And criticism might be given in front of the group, and it's normal for Russia. So, but it's absolutely abnormal for US people or Asian people or India as well, where feedback is usually indirect. and provide it softly and diplomatically. And you can't criticize people for sure in public, for sure. If you decide to go move work to Russia, Israel, or Netherlands, be ready that you can have really rude negative feedback, not because of you, just because of the culture. Decision-making process in countries like European countries, or it's usually consensual decision, and these decisions are made in groups through conversation. And in like Russia or India as well, or China, the decisions came from the top, from the boss. And that's why my friends, Russian friends, usually complain about a bunch of conversation in Europe. Like people who work in Europe, they complain about, oh my God, it's like too much conversation. We talk all day and we hadn't made any decision. So yeah, leadership, like hierarchical leadership is in like Russia or India or Mexico or like Saudi Arabia and other country. It means that you have a distance between you and your boss. You have subordination, and boss is your leader. And talking about European country or US, the distance between you and your boss is low, and boss is mostly facilitator. And also, I've heard complaints from hierarchical culture that my boss is weak. Not because like boss is really weak, because the boss doesn't need to make a decision like straight as in your native country. So, and people decide boss is weak and complain about it. Okay, let's talk about work processes and let me check my time. Oh, like I'll be very quickly because I want time for Q&A. So you have to understand that your experience in your native country might not be recognized in the new country. It's because it's hard to check your real experience. And I struggled a lot when I moved. I had a bunch of experience in Russia, but nobody cared about my experience in Russia in the US. And they all expected experience in the US, local experience, because they can prove that they know projects better. And for sure, American company usually don't know project in Russia. And what I did and what helped me is to start with a Russian-based company in the US, because I had my American background, like experience. I started gathering like experience. But on the other hand, all founders were from Russia, and they knew my previous project, and they can prove that because they have connection with Russia. So it helps you to start developing your experience in not in a new country by working with people from your native country. For sure, ask for referral. In the US, it's must have, especially if you want to apply for big companies like Google, Facebook. You can't apply directly to, you can, but nobody will like consider your resume. You have to ask for referrals. Referrals is networking. People want to refer you if they don't want you. So you need to like do this chain of people and ask for referral who work in different companies. And what helped me here with networking and referral, for sure, LinkedIn. I try to find people with common friends, Facebook as well, and Angel List, angel.co website. Um, the job interview process might be different from your country. I don't want to spend time today on that, but I have a lot of useful materials about resume, about job posting sites, how to pass the interview, some useful links on and books. So you can click on this link, useful material, and find a bunch of information how to crack the PM interview in the US. And talking about work, if you get it, if you already got a job, read Culture Map book again, and to be ready to accept new rules like different velocity. People from Russia always complain about business in Europe is too slow. And in opposite, people with European mindset is complaining about Russian business is too intense or American business is too intense. Communication in some countries, it's good to have like bunch of communication and calls and meetings. In the US, let's say people call each other, but in Russia, people usually use chats. People don't like talking to each other. Hierarchy, subordination in the company, decision-making process, it's based on like data-driven or it's your boss gut feeling. And also relationship at work. Is it like friends at work or it's your business partner only? And just slightly, I want to show the resume example. On the left side is my resume adjusted to US markets. I also share this link in additional documents I attached to this presentation. And what I had before I moved to the US, I had this resume on the right side, which is pretty good apply for European market, but it's not apply for American market. Let's say pictures is not allowed in American resume, but it's pretty good in Russian resume or European. Okay, and here, if you're gonna apply for like American company, there are a list of companies with the highest approval rating for H-1B. H-1B is work visa in the US. So if you wanna try to find a work visa, you can start with that big companies. And other advice from other immigrants I got during my research, for sure, start learning language as soon as possible. It's the advice number one from everyone. Try to find work in advance if it's possible. It's good to come to the place when you already have something. Prepare thoroughly before immigration. See the slide with the problems, read about taxes, driver licenses, documents, credit cards, insurance, every details. Try to prepare in advance. It makes your transition easily. Find people with similar background, people from tech, product managers, I don't know, women in tech, Indians in tech, Indian Americans, like et cetera, et cetera. Try to find your community. Do networking, be proactive, and get along with locals. Create a personal schedule for learning, work, and sport. I like this seventh advice. Forget everything you knew. Consider yourself as a being a newborn baby. That's a really cool. It's 100% true because when you moved, you start everything from scratch. Be curious, flexible, don't shy asking people for advice, and don't think people don't like you because you're a different nationality. Like one girl, she's from Colombia. She said, "Oh, I struggled a lot from that I'm Latino, like Americans don't like me." When it was her own obstacles, her own mindset. Like people didn't think that, and she thought that people thought that. So that's a problem. Okay. All right. Yeah. Always 30 minutes. Thanks, guys. Let's uh, talk about your questions.
So, Anna, there are a few questions in chat section.
Should I go through these questions? Yeah, and
Mm,
answer that?
yes.
Hello, Anna. How do we have access to the useful materials in this slide? I don't know. I can share the presentation anywhere you want. Piyush,
I'll
maybe you
attach the
can.
presentation in after event email and I'll share with Slack.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah. So Piyush has this presentation, and he can share with you. Okay. Like next question, being marketing specialist promoted as product marketing manager, how you managed the transition? I wasn't a product marketing manager. I was a marketing specialist and marketing managers, and I was promoted to product managers directly, but it took several years. What I did, I started being involved in product development from the marketing side. I fell in love in gift project. It was like stickers, and I realized that it's interesting project, but nobody promoted it at that time. And I started implementing link within the website, within the social network, try to find cross promo. Let's say we have two separate section, uh, holidays, including birthdays, people's birthday, like Facebook birthdays, like events, and gifts. And it's obvious that these two sections go together. And I suggested to my boss that, oh, let's do like cross promo. Let's give people a chance to ability to send a gift when someone has a birthday today. And he said, yeah, okay. And I started doing that small baby steps, and I have really smooth transition, being involved in product development. Being a product manager worked in native country versus other country, how typical to understand the customer base? Uh, Actually, I don't know if you can clarify this question. How typical to understand the customer base? What do you mean? You mean that's like a persona, or um, yeah, I don't understand. Yeah, if you talk about persona, it's the same rules apply in two countries. You just start talking to your customers and doing bunch of interviews, and after that you can understand your persona. If you talk about people mentality, yeah, it's interesting question, because yeah, like Russian mentality and American mentality are different. It came to me, and I'm still learning. I can say that I'm professional in that. Yeah, and it like time helps me to understand like some patterns, observation, curiosity, and for sure talking to people. um, the next question from Vinay. I have been trying to shift to Germany, but unfortunately I failed because of German language requirement. But I also do see few of my colleagues getting job easily within months of application. What are points to be taken care there here? It depends on the role for sure. Some and company. I applied to German companies several times. I had some idea to move to Germany, and some companies did require German language, and all of our interviews was in English. And they also said, "Oh, we don't need German. We have a bunch of immigrants, and English is our primary language." But some company requires that. So it really depends on the company, and also it depends on the role. I don't know your role here, because if you're a product manager, communication is highly important. You have to be able to communicate with local people. You have to be able to have a user interview, user discovery interview, and talk to like real people who can't probably speak English, like outside on the street. But if you are a software developer, you probably don't need communication as much as a product manager has. So yeah, learn German language. Hi Anna, I got Australia PR recently. What would you like to know your thoughts on when to move, and your opinion about opportunity within product management space in Sydney? PR, you mean what is PR? Product requirements? I don't understand. I'm sorry. Australia PR. I don't know. I'm sorry. Use persona. Uh, User persona. It's a yeah. It's about question. Yeah, I talk. Yeah, I already answered that. Talk to your customers for sure. Do research interview with your customers. Yeah, and for product manager, yeah, as I said, probably maybe their core audience is people on the street, like maybe less educated people who can speak English, and one is your responsibilities to talk to people, to do user research, to understand their pain point. That's why it's really required to speak German language. I pretty understand that. Is it even possible to get into PM role directly, get H-1B visa to the US without going MS, like some MBA in science? Yeah, probably. I'm sorry. And MBA, I have 2.5 years of PM experience. The point here is that in the US, there are a bunch of strong people. The competition is super high, and is less likely to be hired in the US without experience, local experience from other country. Because as I already said, you have to understand local rules, mentality. You have to speak language perfectly, and you have to like have a track record, local records, which they have to prove. So based on my like experience and my friends here in the US, it's really rare case when you get a H-1B visa as a product manager. It's more likely to have H-1B visa if you're an engineer, or might be possible to have a L1 visa. L1 is transition within the same company. I know like there are a bunch of body shops who hire people from other countries, like I don't know, from Eastern Europe, and transit their that people to the US, take some amount of money from their salary, and people have L1 visa and work at Google or at big companies as a PM. But it's possible, for sure. It's possible. Everything is possible. And yeah, maybe if you have friends here in the US who can hire you, it's possible. Yeah. Permanent residency. I'm sorry, PR. What was the question? I got it. permanent residence recently. Would like to know your thoughts on when to move and your opinion about opportunities in product management. Actually, I have no experience about like Australian market. I have like few friends there. Yeah, but I can't recommend anything. I'm sorry. Industry requirement varies from country to country. Which are common factors you consider to prepare while attending international interview? I would recommend you talking about Australia because I haven't applied on Australia. I've been interviewed in Europe, in the US, in Russia, but I've never been interviewed in Australia. I don't know their rules, but what I can recommend to find people like on LinkedIn, you just can find the product managers in Sydney and said, "Oh, I'm going to prepare to the interview. Could you please recommend me something?" And ask people to share some advice. Yeah, for sure, Google sites like Glassdoor, they can provide questions on the interview. Glassdoor.com. It's an international website. I can even find interviews and salary in Russia. So a bunch of questions in the US. So I think in Australia it's the same. You can find your company and interview questions from your company. Yeah, and maybe some community and groups on Facebook. Thanks, Anna, for answers. Yeah, anyway, for sure. No, I'm talking about other countries. So if you want to, yeah, like I can compare Germany and Russia and US. Let's say in Russia, interview process is pretty ubiquitous. So people can ask your absolutely unstructured different questions. But on the other hand, like Russian people are super specific. They would dig deeper in every details. If you said, "Oh, I increased conversion rate from 5 to 10%," they would definitely ask you about, "Oh, tell me exactly how did you do that? What you did exactly? Tell me, like, describe me in a specific way." But talking about American approach, it's more like in a like top level general information, and I haven't heard that people dig deeper into details. But American interview process is super structured and logical, and you have to know questions in advance because you can read, as I said already, you can read questions on Glassdoor, and especially if it's big companies like Facebook. Uh, they typically ask behavioral questions like, "Oh, tell me about the time you motivate your team. Tell me about the time you struggled from some difficulties at your work, or tell me about the time you were disagreed with your boss." And it's absolutely a known list of questions. I mentioned that questions is the useful materials. You can look through that and like what you need to prepare for the interview in the US is to know that questions, like Google it. It's like easy access to them, and prepare answers in advance. Yeah, and practice for sure. You have to practice. Um, would the next question, would getting H-1B visa easily if they first get into Amazon or Google in BLR? It's Bangalore. BLR. What is
It's
BLR?
Bangalore.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. You can probably ask for transition within the company. First, because L1 visa is a transition. You start in Google and you have a transition in Google US. And the second, having a big name, well-known name in your resume, it's definitely helpful for the future. Because companies in the US, they all recognize Google or Amazon. And if it's even said, oh, I work at like Amazon in Bangalore, they would, and they probably have a database and they have an access to your records and your portfolio. So I think it's, yeah, it's easier. Thanks, Anna, for help. Anyway, you can, if you need, if you have other questions on anything in the future, I posted my email, my LinkedIn, and everything. You can reach me and ask me a question about work in the US, especially. Hi, Anna. I'm a bit confused about the credibility of experience while working as a remote PM for a US-based company. Now working as a remote PM can be, how working as a remote PM can be considered as a credible experience, and will it benefit in getting full-time employment in the US? Good question about now in such a difficult time when a bunch of people are working remote. I think, I hope it would definitely beneficial for like other company, because I believe that this uh, virus changed the market significantly, and I don't know how many remote workers was before the coronavirus, but I believe that companies understand that they can save money hiring people remote, especially not in the US. I see more challenges for people who would work remote from the US because they demand more salary, bigger salary. So what you can do here is to not to mention that in your resume if they don't ask that you're remote PM. You can say that I work as a PM, and if it's a US based company, you can mention US location, state and city, because if they are interested in that, they would ask you, or you can mention that during the interview. But I don't know. People are pretty like, it's a different. Every company has different approach on that. Like about remote workers. Like many company demands people to be on place, on site, and even about interview. When I moved to the US first time, I've been living in New York, and I applied to the company in California, and they said no. We can have an interview with you because we need you here in California. We need you to come to our office and have an interview with us, and we won't cover you like fly expenses, travel expenses. So it's really depends. And but I would suggest not to mention that in your resume. Similar patterns is followed in India. I don't know. I forgot what are you talking about. Great to know. You have given me hope now. Yeah, you're welcome. Since all foreign country has a range of salary as per what is
experience. I'll
for
read the.
experience.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for helping me. Okay, so how should we negotiate for it with our offering, offending without offending the recruiter? Negotiation your salary for sure. It's again, talking about the US, negotiating your salary, it's must have. Uh, Counter offer, it calls counter offer. Uh, when you get a job offer, like offer, people the company usually send you an offer with your salary and your all your perks and benefits. And what should you do is highly recommended in the US. It's to send a counter offer when you um, suggest your salary, but for sure you should explain why do you think it's necessary. You can say that, oh, your salary is $100, I want a $200 because I'm so cool. No, it's not an explanation, it's not a reason. You can say, okay, you offered me $100 by based on my research, like you can attach the link on Glassdoor. The average salary for senior product manager is $120, and based on my according to my experience, which can bring you bring your company like many benefits and increase your metrics and profit and everything. I think that like the salary is 120 would be fair for my this position. So try to like send a counter offer, try to explain why they should do that, and be for sure be polite. So it's not offending at all in the US. You can also discuss all perks, benefits. You can ask relocation bonus, you can ask for signing bonus, you can ask for covering education, like anything. And it's and if the company doesn't want to provide that, they just said, okay, no, I can accept this one, but this one is out of our scope of benefits, I'm sorry, so our like second offer is that one. What you can say is to accept offer or to send another counter offer. So, and it's absolutely normal in the US. Thanks for tips, Anna. Surely helps in absorbing the experience of remote PM for the benefit in career. Cool. Guys, please avoid using short forms here.
Oh.
Okay, apologize. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just sometimes I can't understand what does it mean. And as I said, my English is not like perfect. I'm not a native. Sometimes I'm struggling with understanding some abbreviation or even like accents or something. Also, a quick question related to working as a remote PM. How to deal with the salary bracket, which are country specific, like working from India but expecting to get paid accordingly to pay system of the US. First, I don't think that people or a company would pay you according to pay system of the US. If companies look for a remote worker, they would probably want to save money. That's obvious. And they expect you, if you live in India, to have less salary than if you live in the US. That's why sometimes it's like more like profitable for company to hire people outside of the US. Here, I would recommend to choose something in the middle. Let's say it's higher salary than in India for sure, but a little bit lower than salary in the US to be like competitive here, because you have to compete with people who are in place. in the US can come to the office, have a local experience, working in the same time zone. That is also important. Sometimes your boss need you like right now it's a working day in the US. So, and for sure, like negotiate your salary. It's absolutely normal in the US. You can start with a higher, a little bit higher salary, but after some time you can reduce your salary or provide the brackets. Oh, my minimum salary is that one, but I my like preferable salary, a desirable salary is that one. Um, if they said okay, we can pay you that one, we can pay you lower, you could said okay, I have a just I'm thinking about other offer I have, so just like be flexible, try to mm, manipulate a little bit, and it's absolutely normal in the UK, US, sorry. Okay, thanks Anna again for your valuable advice. You are welcome, and we don't have time,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So that's absolutely that would be super cool. And again, if you need my advice, you can reach me directly on LinkedIn or via email or anywhere else. And Piyush will post this presentation with a link on a list of resources about PM job in the US. Yeah.
Yes. I'll share this presentation with everyone, and also recording of the session will be shared on our YouTube channel. So you all can subscribe to our YouTube channel to stay updated with the recordings. With that, let's close the session, and thanks a lot, Anna, for conducting such an insightful session for us. I'm sure everyone will have a lot of takeaways from today's session.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Yeah. Thank you.
So guys, I'm sharing link
Thank
of
you.
our Slack community in chat section. If you're not part of it, you can join it. And I'm also sharing link of our YouTube channel.
Thanks, Anna.